China deal? Laughable. And where is the left hiring all these whistleblowers from? What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, October the 13th. Well, it's not Friday the 13th. What's up, everybody? And of course, the news was fast and furious last week as we continue to wait on, is China going to make a deal? No deal. Deal? No deal. Where's Howie Mandel when we need him? And of course, early in the week, it didn't look like it. And then I think it was late Wednesday, maybe, that they decided that they weren't going to meet. And all of a sudden, they were meeting, and everything was hunky dory. They had a great time. Okay, and of course, out came the markets went soaring on Friday. They were never going to come down again, and out came the deal. And I ask you, what was the deal? I mean, to me, they didn't commit to buy what they normally buy. If you want to talk about the grains, and that's a whole nother story, which we'll talk about. But what did we do? What did we accomplish with the big meeting? I mean, the street certainly didn't like the end of the day announcement. Okay, the buildup was unbelievable. And of course, as we texted out to everybody, maybe it was being overpriced in. One thing about markets is they have a tendency to overprice or underprice things as they happen. And certainly that huge rally as all the imbies on the pundits and the shows were saying, oh, well, if they get the deal, we're going to go up another 5% today. I mean, we were already up 2 or 3. So at the end of the day, okay, the deal to me was a nothing. It was a big nothing. It was like, okay, let's go to the status quo. We'll hold off on the tariffs and we'll get through the Christmas season or whatever. I mean, and again, that could change tonight. Who knows what's going to happen? But at the end of the day, again, I don't know how the street's going to react, tonight, tomorrow, and the rest of the week. But certainly, for my money, this deal was certainly not what I would be considering as a spectacular deal. And of course, the Chinese media is calling it a pause in the trade wars. So we'll see what it looks like when it's all plays out. But again, you have markets that are priced for absolute perfection, no matter what. Okay. In the meantime, we've got other issues to talk about. You've got the new quantitative easing program. Don't call it quantitative easing. No, we're just going to buy bonds and we're going to flood the system with liquidity so we can maybe take care of some of those repo problems and some of the other issues that are going on. But basically, what we're going to do for you, our American people, and especially our American middle class, is we're going to continue to destroy and destruct the dollar. Okay, because that's the only way that we can get this to more exports, as we just continue to devalue our currency. Of course, other countries are doing the same thing. And of course, nobody wants to say that the world itself is in a recession. Okay, I mean, you can look whatever you want. Okay, but we see a recession, we see some deflation, we're seeing all things, and none of them are good. Okay. Now we've got here, we're still fairly strong. But again, as I've said, we are in the very early stages of recession. And somebody someday will explain to me, okay, how we can, if every country continues to devalue their currency, how it actually helps with trade. Okay. I mean, if I keep making myself worth less, I'm reducing my values. So again, to me, this is where the real problem of allowing the Fed and central banks around the globe to continue to fiddle around with a monetary policy when A, there you have no clue, okay, B, they have no common sense, and C, basically what they're really doing is stealing from the middle class. Okay, I mean, that's really what it comes down to, because you can make all the money you want now. It ain't going as far as it went, and although they say there's no inflation, and again, there was a big story about the Social Security, the other big Ponzi scheme, okay, Social Security, okay, that they were the people who were collecting Social Security were going to get a 1.5 or 1.6% increase, okay, but of course the cost of living is going up faster than that. So it's always these weird equations we talk about as to where it comes to. So we're back into QE, which may fuel the markets. It may not. Again, we're in this position, okay, of up near the tops. There's a lot of reasons I believe we could go lower, but again, we're not going to fight the markets, and we'll talk about our positions and what's going on when we get to that segment of the show. But again, you have continued manipulation, you have continued Fed interference, and isn't it sad that with earnings season starting this week, okay, that the number one concern of traders and investors is not, are the earnings going to be any good? Because we know they're not. Or our concern should be, well, the Fed's going to reinflate and go back to quantitative easing. They're going to cut rates, okay, 25 or 50 basis points, and the China deal. So our whole focus has gone away from actually, are we really making money, okay, to how can we put in free money into the system, and how can we get this China trade deal done, which is not that big a deal to begin with. But of course, every company who will start to report earnings has already prepared you to say, well, if we don't make our earnings, it's because of the trade deal. And again, I will continue to argue that fact, that that's the biggest crock of crap that there is. Because at the end of the day, it's only hurting our exports. It is not hurting our imports. Because the other countries have already reduced their currency, so our stronger dollar and their weaker currency is continuing to let our buyers, Walmart and the likes, to buy at the same price they were buying. But of course, they'll make the excuse to potentially raise prices. They'll make the excuse to start cutting back on employees, which they've already started to do. Quietly, we continue to ignore the things that could be potential bad news to the market. And again, I don't want there to be bad news. I mean, I'm a fan. Okay, I'm in. Okay, I am always long the stock market in general. Okay, my retirement, my IRAs, everything that I have is always long equities. So at the end of the day, okay, again, I'm not begging for this, but again, this is the natural rotation. And the biggest problem we have is that the Fed and the central banks, they do not allow the markets to free trade. They continue to try to put these Band-Aids on. They keep trying to cover these tourniquets up, okay? And eventually it explodes, the patient dies, the markets could collapse, and then they come back up again later. But that's really, where we sit, okay? And of course you've got, the continuation of David Stockman out there, the ex-Reagan aide, who's been calling for the end of the world for, I don't know, 6 years, 7 years, 10 years. Okay. I mean, if you followed his advice, you'd be broke. Okay. Because the end of the world ain't coming. I mean, listen, we know one thing for sure. Okay. We know that the market is going to have a major sell-off at some point. That we know. It happens. That's the natural order. That's the natural rotation of markets in general. We don't know when. We don't know how deep it will be. We don't know what will cause it, but we know it is coming, okay? But again, it could be tomorrow. It could start tomorrow. It may have already started, or it could start 6 months from now, a year from now. That there's no telling, okay? So the key in just general, okay, in general good advice is to not try to predict if you're an investor, but just to stay the course, okay? Obviously, if you're hedging, it's even better because you get to buy more. But at the end of the day, don't try to time out. Okay, if you're an investor, don't try to time out the markets. Don't try to figure out when to be in, when to be out. Again, it's a simple mathematical fact, which is all we trade off of, okay, is that if you've never exited, you're in a hell of a lot better shape than if you did. And even if you bought the top of every market, okay, in history, you'd still be net plus, okay? So, and if you were able to stay the course. So again, look, that's just the way it goes. So please stay away from all the fear-mongering and all the bull, because that's all it is. It's a bunch of crap, okay? But I think one of the things that isn't a bunch of crap, and I think this is something that should be somewhat of a concern, is it looks like as the faster technology grows, the more it looks like we're losing some of our First Amendment rights. Okay, there's all of a sudden there's a lot of censorship on the social media platforms. You can't, listen, I don't want any hate speech, right? I'm not looking for hate speech. I'm not looking for things like that. But again, I remember when I grew up and the KKK was allowed to march in Skokie, which at that time was predominantly Jewish. So again, I think that, you have to be able to have the free speech. And of course, as we get more into social media, the more they are eliminating that opportunity of free speech. And I think that is something to be concerned about. I mean, I think you've got worries there, okay, because you can see what's going on right now. We continue to see whistleblower after whistleblower now coming out, which, again, all of a sudden we have whistleblowers because they couldn't overturn the election. They couldn't do this. So now they're into the new and latest thing is to pressure Giuliani to get whistleblowers to come forward. Okay, we'll see how this all plays out. Again, President Trump is not getting impeached. Okay, if you want him out, you vote him out in the next election. Now, basically, he's going to win. Okay, I don't see there's any way he cannot win the next election. They can try all they want, but I think really all they're doing is strengthening his base by trying to be ridiculous. Because shouldn't you care more about the country and moving forward and knowing that in a year from now, I mean, actually almost a year from right now, you can have a new president if you want. Okay, you don't have to. So, but let's waste billions of dollars. Let's waste all this time. Let's not pass any legislation. Let's continue to focus the efforts of all those imbeciles on getting an impeachment. That's the most important thing, because God forbid we should find out that Joe Biden and his son did something illegal. And again, I'm not picking on Joe Biden. I don't really care, because you can go back in history, and I don't care if it was a left president or a right president or who it was. They've all done something that they shouldn't have done. Okay. Again, let's not kid ourselves and be so naive to think that this stuff hasn't gone on. And I'm not saying I don't think they did anything wrong, but again, even if he did, let's not be naive to think that this doesn't go on all the time. Okay. So again, let's keep the ball in front of us and say, hey, it's more important to keep the country rolling. Okay. And then if you don't like who's there, you vote them out. That's really what it comes down to. But I think another big concern to really look at, besides politics, again, politics is a joke in general. Okay, whether you're left or right, it's an event that should be destroyed. Okay, but I think one of the big things to look at is global freight. Okay, you're not seeing anywhere near the global freight, which only tells you that there is a slowdown. Okay, again, these are issues that we continue to kick down the road. We kick the can, we ignore them. Okay, until it's too late to ignore them. So my only words to you are simple. Okay, be careful, keep your eye on the ball, and don't fall into the trap of what everybody would like you to fall into and what the media would like you to fall into, as far as the business and how the country stands. Look inside your own life. You'll get the best idea of how things are going. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. I am Todd Bubba Horowitz, and we're going to step out here for a break, and we'll be back with more after the break. What's up, everybody? Again, we've got some great webinars for you. If you'd like to check them out, you can email me at bub@bubbatrading.com. I'll be happy to send you our latest on mini and micro futures, futures portfolio management. And the micros are really a hell of a product. So certainly, if you'd like to check it out, just shoot me an email. And of course, you can catch me on Ticker Talker on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, talking for about a half hour, teaching a little bit about the markets. And of course, don't forget about our high school program at Patreon, patreon.com/Bubba Trading. That's patreon.com/Bubba Trading. Now let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with your host, me, Todd Bubba Horowitz. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, October the 13th. And of course, quite a crazy week in markets in general. And, as it looked like we were going to go down, and then we finally, at the end of the week, Thursday, Friday, we broke out above. Now, again, we broke to the next resistance level. We'll see. Again, we don't predict. Mathematically, we are long the NASDAQ. We are short the Dow. We are short the S&P. And we are short the Russell. Okay. And we will stay that way. And based on our positions, I would assume that this rally is going to fail. Now, we did see a very bearish close on Friday. That was a very dramatic sell-off that we saw late. The S&P sold off about 30 points in the last 15 minutes after some of the structure of the deal was announced. Again, we're not predicting it's going down. And we could, listen, if it goes back up, we're going to probably have to reverse. Okay, that is what we do. We don't try to predict. We try to play what is the longer term trend. And of course, it looks like we were trying to turn lower. So we will see how this does play out. But again, you did see, obviously, the NASDAQ was really strong, which amazingly we were able to stay along that. But the other indexes were not. And again, not that they're not going to be, and not that they're not going to catch up. But again, we can only play the math. We can only play the statistics of what the algorithms tell us to do. And that right now, they're remaining short. And in fact, we had an interesting development on Friday in the SPY. There was a very close switch, and it could have switched. It didn't switch, so we decided to hold back. But in the meantime, you saw it went well above where we would have reversed at, and then it broke well below it. Okay, if you saw that close, again, it was very bearish. But again, we're not predicting. We'll see what the markets look like tonight and how they open. I would suspect if they gap higher, they probably should be sold. But again, that would just be from a trader's point of view. If they gap lower, they probably should be bought. Okay, that if you're playing the gaps, and when I say gap, I mean if they open up or down, 15 to 20 points, they call them handles. Okay, but if they open up, if the Dow opens up or down 150 to 200, the S&P 15 to 20 points, I would think you would take the opposite side of that at least for a trade. Okay, in the meantime, all you trolls out there, I have two words for you, and they ain't happy birthday. Gold continued its downward descent here, even with the little rallies and trying to take out 1520, which was our level we kept talking about. Now we're back under 1500, and we were under pretty severe pressure on Friday before coming back a little bit, but still closed under 1500, still in trouble, still going down. We are still targeting first 1460, then 1440, and then we'll see from there. Okay, but thank you for all your kind words and letters throughout the week. Your bashing and at least if you're going to write in English, okay, and try to do it without using a slang, okay, every other word, okay. I mean, I have no problem. I'm a big boy. I can take it. I'm not always right. So, but again, if you want to bash, do it with other than a 4-letter word. It'd be nice to see somebody actually write. Maybe you can write some English. Okay. In the meantime, gold looks like it's going lower. And again, we continue to be short gold and look for lower prices. Crude, as we said last week, okay, now we're still short, but we expected a bounce. We said that last Sunday that there's no reason that we wouldn't expect crude to be a bounce. Why? Because it was down 10 days in a row. Because it dropped from 63 to 50. Okay. You're going to get a bounce, okay? Just like the market would have gone from 50 to 63, you're going to get some kind of a sell-off. Now, the real question is, how does it play from here? And my guess is the way that it traded last week is it looks like it's going to consolidate only to break lower. We are still targeting the high 40s before this is all done and maybe lower. But again, I was on Yahoo on Friday, and they asked me about oil, and I said, look, they go, what about $100 oil? And I said, hey, in my opinion, I think there's a better chance to see $20 oil than $100 oil, okay? I don't see it. Could I be wrong? Of course I could be wrong. I mean, look, at the end of the day, if the Dow's at 100,000 30 years from now, oil could be at 100 if we're still using oil. So, but I mean, in any time in the near future, I think oil's got no chance to be at 100. And again, we'll see. Again, I can change my mind, okay? If the markets change, I can change. But in the meantime, we're well oversupplied. We're producing as much as we can, and we can produce more if needed. Okay, so we take care of oil. Bonds got clobbered. Okay, and we're just starting to reverse the bonds, going from long to short. Okay, now that's obviously interesting because when bond futures go down, interest rates start to go higher. So the 10-year has been really volatile between 1.5 and 1.8. Okay, we close at the top end of the range here. Now again, is the Fed, with the trade deal in place, going to cut rates? Well, right now the bond market's saying maybe. Now the Fed funds rate are still pricing in a pretty good possibility. So we'll see. This is still pretty much a TV thriller, especially with the QE and the trade. In the meantime, we're short, and I'm assuming that we get another down day in treasuries tomorrow. We'll be not only be short to 10, but we'll be short to 30. Okay, but right now we are short to 10 and still long to 30 as we see it. And of course, the dollar was under a little bit of pressure last week and coming right down to our pretty key support here. But again, this goes back to the not QE program, which is a QE program. It comes back to all the manipulation going on. It comes back to trying to pressure the dollar so that we can work on our exports again. And again, I think that these are all issues that we should be concerned about. But again, I expect the dollar to hold. I expect it to rally because once again, if you look at the dollar for what it is, A, it is the world reserve currency. B, it is a fear asset that people go to. So at the end of the day, I expect to see the dollar continue to rally once again, and we still remain long the dollar. Okay, meats. Again, we reversed hogs to the short side. They look okay, right? We shorted them probably at the worst possible time. Now, again, I recommend that everybody not short them there, but wait for the rally to then sell. So if you listen, you short them a little bit higher. But again, we'll see. They could change. They were pretty volatile. But of course, that big sell-off, and then, of course, the China news pushed them back up again, and we keep hearing about the swine fever and the swine flu. So we'll see how they trade out. In the meantime, we're net short, but I'd be watching the 70 level on the upside basis December hogs and look for most likely a pullback from there. Cattle, both fats and feeders, or live cattle. Okay, live and feeders or fats and feeders, same. Live and fat are the same thing. Okay, I expect those to continue going up to check new highs. Okay, they look great. They've held every pattern. They have totally recovered from that disastrous Tyson fire, where unfortunately, this is one thing that you always want to be aware of is, of course, the banks had to get involved, and they did a lot of forced liquidation. Okay, and of course puked out a lot of the farmers and producers that own these. Okay, that had money borrowed, and of course, obviously, the wrong thing. And we said from that point, from that day, it happened on Friday. We said that Sunday, you got to be a buyer. Okay, and of course now the pattern is confirming, and they look like they're going higher. They look like they can go a lot higher. So we'll continue to stay long and basically the whole ag complex, because when we look at the grains, all right, here we have the grains. The ridiculous WASDE report came out on Thursday, which is the crop progress, I guess they call it. Again, I don't read them. I don't really care because, again, I trade price. I don't really care what the report says. But the report was much more bearish than it should have been, in my opinion, because I don't care what numbers they put there. This harvest is going to be a big problem for farmers across America. Okay, some areas more than others. Some can't even get in yet. The ground is still too wet. Okay, and in certain areas they haven't been able to produce enough. So this is going to create a problem. We've talked about this. Why were grain prices lower for so long? And I kept saying it wasn't a trade. Okay, it was really about the oversupply that we had. Well, I think we're going to start to dwindle some of that oversupply, and this is going to be. I think that we're going to be short this year. I'm going to guess that the average farmer will only be able to pull out about 75% of what's normal, okay, or what's expected, okay. I think the WASDE numbers are bull. I think they're totally nuts. But again, that's just me, okay. In the meantime, grains flew on Friday, okay, ahead of the news, okay, and of course we'll see how they react tonight once they have heard the news. But again, we like the greens anyways. And as I said Thursday morning before the WASDE report came out, I said on Thursday Rural Rally Radio, I said I think that the number will probably be bearish. And if it is, and they kill them, I want to jump in and buy them. Because to me, this is a great buying opportunity. They look like they want to go higher. We're long. We expect them to go higher. The algorithm's long. Everything points to much higher prices in grains, and we expect to see them. Okay. And again, you could start to see, I would expect to see a run to 415 to 420 in corn. I would look to see 950 to 970 in soybeans. And if wheat finally close over 5, I would expect to see 530 to 540 in wheat. And again, I think we're going higher. Okay, I think the ag is the ag place is the place to be, kind of like Green Acres. Green Acres, the ag space to me is the place to be. And I think if we get some selling in equities, and again, I'm not saying we are, but if we do, I think that's where the money is going to flow as well. So I think there's a lot of things pointing to putting your money in the ag space. In the meantime, we'll see what it looks like. Again, volumes have been very slow. Very interesting fact to take a look at, though, the implied volatility in like the spiders, okay, has been creeping up. VIX is a little bit higher. So there are things to look at that indicate there might be some troubles brewing. We're not predicting. We'll be watching and waiting. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line, Todd Bubba Horowitz. We're going to step out here for a break and come back with, of course, my commentary. We'll be right back with more of Bubba's Bottom Line. What's up, kids? So, hey, markets are what they are. And of course, we've got, programs to help you out. And if you'd like to know what we do, either helping farmers or helping you invest better or whatever you'd like. We've got stuff and newsletters and reports to help you. And of course, those newsletters are me directly talking like I do on TV, like I do right to you here, like I do on the radio. It's just giving you exactly what I'm doing versus trying to show you some ridiculous shiny object. So if you'd like to check anything out, just email me at bubba@bubbatrading.com. And of course, don't forget about our high school program at Patreon, patreon.com/Bubba Trading. That's patreon.com/Bubba Trading. Now let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line and my commentary. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Todd Bubba Horowitz, Sunday, October the 13th. And of course, every week I give you kind of what I'm thinking about. And, I try not to watch too much of the news unless I know I'm going to be on because I want to kind of know what they're talking about. But, I catch myself watching it occasionally, especially when I know there's things out there. And you know what I find really frustrating? Okay, and I'm not going to name names yet, but the pundits and the commentators, they target who they want to have on, okay, as far as what they're going to say. Now, true story, I have been asked to say certain things over the years, and I decline. I will not go on. I will never go on and say what I do not believe. Okay, I am not going to try to create what they want, which is the excitement or the fear or the jubilation to force investors. Because one thing I do know is that investors do follow what people say on TV. Okay, a lot of investors really only catch a little bit of it, and they hear something and they go, "Oh, I should jump right in there." Okay, and I think that the media is giving fake news. I think they are performing a major disservice to the average investor, as much as they talk about how much they care about the investor. But to bring these people on, when it came to the trade war, they only brought on people, I talk to these guys all the time. They only would bring on people who said, oh yeah, the trade war is horrible, it's killing us, when indeed it really wasn't necessarily the trade war, okay? But that's the only guess that you heard from. You never heard the other side of the trade. You never heard the other side of the trade in anything, okay? And that's the problem. So, obviously they know that as long as they remain bullish, okay, and I'm not saying you shouldn't be bullish, but as long as they're bullish, it makes the news happier. So why would they want to bring out somebody who's going to say, well, maybe the markets aren't going to go up any farther? So you see very few guests that are contrary to the subject matter, which is buy and buy and buy, and we're going to the moon, okay? And I think that does a dramatic disservice to the American people, to anybody who watches wherever you're watching business news, and I think most of them all do it. And I think that it's a tragedy, and it's sad that this is what we become. We can't report the actual facts, and when we ask somebody for an opinion, their opinion has to agree with what our opinion is, okay? Or otherwise we can't do that. And I think that's kind of what we've been seeing, and it's getting, to me, worse and worse and worse, and it's making me think about not doing it anymore, because quite frankly, I can do as much as I want, as long as I'm, if they're talking about something I want to talk about. But I'm really depressed by the way that it's being reported. I think it's a terrible disservice to people out there, and I think that it needs to be taken care of better, and hopefully at some point they will. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horowitz, and of course, we got the World Series going, not the World Series, but we have the League Championship Series going on, and we got football tonight. And I think the football game tonight, I'm losing my mind, but I think it's Pittsburgh against the Chargers. Okay, we're going to take Pittsburgh plus the 6. Okay, Pittsburgh plus the 6 with no quarterback, with nobody. Okay, of course the Chargers managed to figure out a way to lose all the time, and of course you've got the second game of the Yankees and Houston. You've got Paxton going against Verlander. We're going to lay the wood with Verlander and figure Houston's going to come back and win game 2. In the meantime, this has been Bubba's Bottom Line. As always, I thank you for being here. We'll see you back here tomorrow with Bubba's Daily Update on Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody. Have a great day. We'll see you later.